Okay, so my name is Jasmin. I'm 20 years old and I'm a student at the University of Malta. I study criminology and I'm looking to get a master's in psychology, so that's my preferred area of study. I think integration is definitely lacking. In my case, I know a lot of refugee children because, my father he's a director of a foundation for shelter and support to migrants. So I'm very much friends with children of people who work with my father. He's also the pastor of a church, and we have many migrants who come to church. So I've definitely, been in the scene and everything. But from my experience with my friends, I definitely think that I think awareness is lacking and integrate. I think the main problem would be integration, because many times, because I'm black, but I have friends who say I don't like black people, but I like you, which is something that I've experienced my entire life. So that definitely shows me that most of the time it's not really a question of color. It's just you're you, I'm me, and we have nothing alike. Right? It's just cultural differences. So I do think that if Maltese children spent more time with refugee children, then we would realize that there really isn't that much of a difference, especially refugee children who grew up in Malta. We have the same culture. I definitely think that the more different the people are, the better it is. I think that also refugee children themselves, I also think that they tend to stick with the friends they already have, especially younger children, since many of them live in centers, living centers, and they make friends with people they already know. So themselves, I think they even need a push to come out of it. I think that it's hard for me to really say, because I think that it was easier for me because, I have a connection to both. My father's African, my mother's Maltese. So it was always a bit easier for me to relate to somebody. But people who, who have nothing or think that they have nothing in common, I definitely see how that would be, a barrier. But I think that people such as myself, or other people who are biracial or have, parents from two different countries, I think that we could really aid in bringing people together. I think it definitely works, because it's like, you trust me and you trust me, so I bring you together. And it's worked many times before. The most thing that interests me is how your environment shapes your perspective of the world. And even, sometimes even myself, when I meet, foreign people, sometimes sometimes you're like, why do they act that way? Or, they're a little strange. But then you go to where they live and you actually take it all in, and you're like, okay, I understand. So how can I be mad at this person, or how can I dislike this person when, I haven't been to the same experiences that they've been through? So that is definitely my favorite part of going abroad. And I learned a lot about myself. You definitely learn a lot about yourself and where you live, and the benefits of where you live. So it's the grass is not always greener on the other side type situation.